Hey, Dave Miller here. Earlier today, I was able to sit down with my friend from Atlanta and 12 Stone Church, Andy Brightbill. And if you don't know about 12 Stone, it's worth looking up. I'll drop the link below. 12 Stone, we're so indebted to them in the earliest days of Leadership Pathway. So much of what we were thinking, what we were believing on this topic of engaging the next generation came straight from 12 Stone and the people that were involved. And, these things are, as you know, if you're involved in this effort of engaging the next generation for church leadership, it's hard to sustain. It's hard to sustain from one resident to two, year after year to three, four, five. And it's really hard to sustain from one person that's passionate about this topic and then they go away and sometimes the passion and the idea goes with them. So it's always interesting to talk to people who didn't start it. He's just carrying the baton forward, and that's what he's doing. And if that's you, what you should do also is pick up a copy of this. Who's the Next You? I'll drop the link below. It's on Amazon. It's hardback, and it's all about how to find and support and develop the next generation. It's amazing to talk to people like Andy at 12 Stone, 15 campuses, 15,000 people, dozens of residents, trying to get to 60, I think he told me at some point. It's amazing to have that conversation, but then you come back home at your church that's much, much smaller. And how do you start this? It seems overwhelming. We can help you do that. I'll drop that link below. A great place to begin is in that book. But for now, here's my conversation with Andy Brightbill of 12 Stone Church. Enjoy. It's a good time. Hello and welcome to Leadership Pathway. Andy Brightbill of 12 Stone Church. Welcome.
Thanks, Dave. Excited to be here.
Your title is the Director of Golf
Some
and
things,
three-year-old
director, some
activities.
things.
Is that what
That's
you're doing? You're the
correct.
preschool guy now?
That's what I'm doing, man. When you have a preschooler, that's what you're doing.
Andy
That's
has a
what you're doing.
three-year-old. We were just telling stories. A golfer.
Mhm.
Write the name down, Bright Bill. Let's see. We got about a dozen years. He'll be on the
Yeah.
amateur tour. You'll be caddying
15,
for him.
15, 20 years. He'll probably want a better caddy than me. Uh,
Yes.
I'll be tired and need a nap at that point. But
One thing I recently learned from someone on my team, it's not 12 stones.
no, just singular.
Okay,
12
so
stone.
let's start there.
Yeah.
She was
Yeah.
laughing at me as if I was a senior citizen saying Walmart's. And then we have a joke. People say leadership pathways. And I'm like, it's way. There's one leadership pathway.
One. Yeah. Yeah.
Not the
There's just one 12
Facebooks,
stone.
it's not the internets, and
Yeah.
it's not 12 stones.
Nope. It's just 12 stone.
So it's 12. So is this, I mean, I've never been accused of being an English major, but is this singular? Is
Yeah.
this plural? What's the
It
deal?
is it is singular. So the
Okay.
name is from Joshua 4 and 5. The nation of Israel could finally pass into the promised land.
Okay.
Was the command that was given from every tribe to take a stone
Yes.
and make a monument.
Yes. I
And
think
I
I
love
remember this.
because I think this sets the tone for everything we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
The reason why Israel was instructed to get the stones is so that you could tell the generations to come what
Yeah.
God did.
Yeah.
And so it's just been a heart of our church for a long time, but it is singular. And I'm sure there's very creative marketing and branding reasons why that is.
Top stone.
And they disinvite me from those meetings. So I'm out.
That's when you go to play golf. You're like,
Yeah,
I'm not
I,
going
I have
anymore.
I need to have some time to, work on my short game, something.
Um, Yeah, the Israelites stacked up, and then over and over. Where was I today? Nehemiah, and they
Hmm.
tell the story over and over, all through. He led him out of Israel. He did the thing. He did. Don't forget the thing. So we
Hmm.
stack some stone. Are there 12 stones stacked up somewhere? I've never been to your campus. Are they
There are
stacked
in
up?
our logo, and then when you drive onto our campus,
Yeah.
there's an actual physical representation of our logo. And the
All right.
cool thing about those stones is they were found on the property
Oh,
when it was being built. So we repurposed those uh, into the logo.
12 stone, 12. It's hard for me to do that. I know I've talked to you before. I don't think you've ever corrected me. You just like
We
you
just
let
let
it
it
go.
slide, man. We just of all the things to correct, Dave, this was
That is true,
so
especially
low on
with
the
me.
list. So low on the list.
He's like, let's start with your use of the English language, and then we'll
Mhm.
get down to so big church, multi-site church in Atlanta.
Yes.
Church,
Yeah.
it's like 700 or 800 people. It's so big, isn't
Like,
it?
a few more than that. A
A
few
few
more than
more.
that. A few more than that. So we're nine, about to be 10 campuses, hopefully 11 campuses
What?
not long after that. So continuing to expand, probably run around 15,000 on a weekend, um, and
Why?
across those locations.
Why is it so big, Andy?
You know,
Do you ever ask that question? You
here's
ever wonder that?
here's I do, and this is my favorite answer. This is my favorite answer to that question. Because if you go back and you read about the history of 12 Stone, Kevin
Yeah.
Myers was our founding pastor,
Yeah.
and it defied all of the church growth
Yeah.
metrics, all
Right.
the because it didn't cross a certain size threshold at a certain point in time.
Yeah.
And so there was so much about Pastor Kevin's spiritual formation journey personally
Okay.
tied into why the church wasn't growing and why the church did grow.
Okay.
But again, this is my favorite description of 12 Stone. We are just a two-talent church that kept reinvesting its talents.
Okay.
And there are certainly
Explain.
five-talent churches out there,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you
Explain
know.
that. What do you mean?
Well, it's the parable of the talents. I think everyone who's been handed anything has the opportunity to be the two-talent person. And it's just a matter of what you're going to invest what God's put in your hands to do. And I think sometimes in the church space and even personally, we
Hmm.
get really caught up in the things we don't have instead of the
Yeah.
things we do have. And I think one of the things that God really settled in Pastor Kevin and then settled really into the soul of who 12 Stone is as a church is we can only ever be responsible to steward what God put in our hands.
Mm.
Like never once does he ask us to steward something he hasn't given us.
That's good.
And so I think what we did was just go, well, let's love and serve people well. Let's be really forward with the gospel and who Jesus is. But let's build a culture, and you can see the jumping off points into residency conversations.
Hmm.
Let's build a culture that across the board wants more for people than from people.
Hmm.
And somewhere along the line, I grew up in smaller church contexts, so I had to get over some things coming on staff at a larger church too. Going, well, everybody's just a number there. Everybody's, it's like, well, yeah, people are getting out of bed on Sunday to
Yeah.
go to a place that mistreats them.
Yeah. Right.
It's just not a reality.
What is your number? You have a number on your employee ID card?
I don't. I
I'm
don't know.
kidding. I'm
I don't know
kidding.
what number employee I am. It's just Andy, Dave. We talked about that. It's just Andy here.
How long how long have you been on the staff there?
Going on 12 years.
Wow.
12 years.
Can you remind me, what's your journey? Yeah, I know you were a
First,
college golfer.
I did play a little golf in college. I was on staff at a church in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Then I took a little break. I
Were you
worked in the mo.
always were you always Wesleyan?
No,
Okay.
no, I was not always Wesleyan. I am a
Okay.
denominational mutt.
Yeah, right on.
I grew up Grace Brethren, so I don't know how familiar
I
you might be
I
with that.
I know these people.
Yeah, I grew up Grace
Turns
Brethren.
out there's a lot of graces and a lot of different brethrens out there.
There's
Did you grow up in the kind that did you baptize forward
We
three
did three
times?
times forward, man.
Three times.
Three
You
times
were
forward.
waterboarding long before it made the
That's
news.
right. That's right.
Get this out of you. I've
That's
never
right.
seen
That's
it. I've
right.
only heard about it. Okay.
That's right. I just thought it was also like it was baptism and simultaneously physical therapy. It could help people loosen up lower back pain. There's a lot of good things to get to come from it.
I grew up in a tradition. It's very baptism heavy. Like they love
Mhm.
baptizing people, and you
Mhm.
got to get all the way under, Andy. None of this
Yeah.
half baked
No.
ways. Of,
No, we have a joke at Tulsa. We for a while when we were doing when we would train some staff on baptizing,
yeah,
there was the guy, and he's great, great pastor, great leader. He didn't get somebody all the way under the water
yeah,
here,
yeah.
so he realized like the top of their head and their face wasn't wet,
Uh-oh.
so he just took his hand and cupped the water and just kind of splashed it up
Uh-oh.
his face. It was
You
it's a
go to the
it's
video on that
a
one.
moment.
You go to the video. Let's watch this. Break it
I,
down.
I wish I
Oh,
had it on me, man. I'd love to show it right now.
baptism's so funny. It's like, especially, I mean, most places still. I mean, there. I mean, I don't know if you guys baptize outside there or on the platform, or it's just crazy. All if you see enough of them, you're gonna see some crazy stuff happen.
You're going to see some crazy
Pretty
stuff.
awkward.
Yes.
Like I think
Yeah.
we could have done something else. There could have been a different way.
Mhm.
Just sign a letter or something.
It's on my list of questions, to ask God when when we're all in heaven together. Hey, just a couple of curiosities that I have.
You
Tell
know,
me
the three
about.
people that are still watching are
Uh-huh.
like, what is this? What are we talking about? Here's
Mhm.
what we're talking about. We're talking about residency at 12 Stone, 12
Yes.
Stone Church. Um, you're so generous with your time. Every time I ask you to come on, let's talk a little bit, you're just like, yeah, man, how's this afternoon? It doesn't matter to you. And there are so many of us that are just deeply indebted for the early adopter that 12 Stone was in this whole thing. You Wesleyans, and primarily right there at 12 Stone, I think you lit the fuse on the whole thing. But let's talk about what you're learning. It's been a
Hmm.
year or two
Absolutely.
since we talked last. Last time I talked to you, Andy, I think you were like, we've got this idea. We're going to launch an internship. Remember
Yep.
that? You were
We did launch
gonna,
some
you've
internship.
been doing the residency thing, still 2 years. Anything changed there?
Years. Residency program still 2 years. I am a
Cool.
big apologist for
Yeah.
a 2-year residency program.
Yep.
I'm
Me
happy to
too.
talk
Me
about
too.
why that is.
No, give me the three reasons.
I think number one, if you're going to equip someone to fulfill a ministry calling for a long time, or maybe even a lifetime,
Mhm.
the things they might discover in the first year, they could probably get to fairly quickly a lot of places. But the stuff that sits just past that are the make and break things for ministry that allows somebody to do it for a long time. The skill set, in other words, how do I grow something and then grow it again? How do I build relationships and then double down on those relationships?
Mhm.
How do I steward momentum effectively? Or maybe I had something that had momentum and I lost it, and now I've got to restart it again.
Yeah.
I think all of those things need a longer runway
Yep.
to develop. But I think even more importantly than that, Dave, is who a person is becoming. You know, it's just a longer runway, and the more insidious stuff, unfortunately, can hide for a year,
Sure.
but it can't hide for two.
That's
And
right.
so if it's about developing character,
Yep.
you just got to get into that.
Tell me about the internship you started.
Yeah, internship is 10 weeks. And
Okay.
unlike our residency, we want people in our residency program to be able to articulate clear call to ministry. That's not true for interns. So our summer internship is 10 weeks. It's for people that are college age. They have to be at least 1 year out of high school. They get to be deeply involved in ministry execution across multiple ministry areas at 12 Stone. But what we tell people is, hey, this is a chance for you to come and have high kingdom impact while also being personally coached and developed in your leadership and also in your relationship with Jesus. And so we hope you leave knowing, hey, I actually moved the needle for the kingdom in my 10 weeks, but I also grew as a person.
Well, when we're launching these with the church, if they've been doing a 10-week or a semester long internship for years,
Mhm.
wow, the recruiting thing is so much it's like hand in glove because you got if they
Correct.
held on to the contact information of who'd been there over the last 5 years doing this,
Mhm.
you got a great pond to fish from. Have you seen that happen yet?
Without a doubt.
Yeah, right.
And it wasn't the only reason why we relaunched internship, but it was a reason why we relaunched it.
Do you pay
Was
them? Do they pay to be there?
No,
What's
they're
your
unpaid, but
unpaid?
they don't have to pay to be here.
Okay.
We're looking for in our internship, it's about 20 to 25 hours a week
Okay.
commitment
Yep.
with two exceptions. We do kids camp, and we do that at every campus.
Okay.
So it's taking place at all of our locations. And then we do student camp.
Yeah.
And student camp is just at one location. So it's literally thousands of high school students. And those weeks, um, it's all hands on deck.
Yeah.
It's all hands on.
Are you in the Wesleyan church? I would
Mhm.
assume you're the beacon for this sort of you're the loud mouth of this sort of development plan. Wesleyan churches everywhere looking at you, going, "How do we do this?"
Well, first of all, I'm a loudmouth almost everywhere. So if that's the question, then yes. Here's what I love about the Wesleyan Church is they genuinely, almost across the board, really have a passion to pour into and develop the next generation. Um, and so it's easy to ring a bell when people hear it and they go, "Well, yeah, of course we would do that. Of course we would. Why would we not do that?" Um, so it just makes it so much easier. It
Yeah,
just makes it
yeah,
so
yeah,
much
yeah.
easier. And I think one of the benefits that we have, there's upsides and downsides to size
Right,
across the board.
right. Of course.
But I think one of the upsides that we have is that we have people who can specialize in this, which means they just have more bandwidth to give it a depth of thought that other people may not have the luxury of having because
Sure.
they're running a student ministry and an internship in a residency
Yeah,
program or a college ministry
yeah,
and an internship and residency program. And that's why I love jumping on here with you, Dave, because I just have a heart to see the church flourish and to see the kingdom move forward.
yeah,
And so if we can allow other people to borrow the fact that we have bandwidth to think about stuff
yeah, yeah.
and go do it, then let's do that.
What are you thinking about recently? Maybe you haven't even told your team yet. You're wondering, like, does this part of this still work?
Mhm.
It'd be sort of like right, wrong, confused, and like, what do you think? What's in the column that I'm beginning to rethink some stuff?
Yeah,
No.
it's always tricky to build vehicles in an organization like the local church that's always adapting and evolving. And so because that target's moving, it's one thing to think about how do I equip these young men and women to be effective right now? But how do I also give them the tools that they need to be effective 20 years from now?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I mean, I have thoughts and I think maybe some semi-educated thoughts on what the church might look like at that point, but I don't know that for sure,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And even as generations keep shifting, Gen Z, the big hallmark for them was belonging and impact.
Yeah. Right.
But soon Gen Alpha is going to be here.
Yep.
And so the hook for what you do for people in Gen Z versus what you do for Gen Alpha could be completely different.
Yeah.
And then the other piece too is that generationally, there's always things that are pieces of that generation that are massive wins. And then there's also gaps that show up that are generationally specific.
Right.
And so it's how do you go about navigating those gaps
Yeah.
specifically?
Well, learning for us, I think it's I mean, I'm a slow learner. These things are hard to sustain, man.
Mhm.
They are they're hard at every level, and I'm sure it's hard at 12 Stone. But at a church of 750 out there, they start with great fanfare, and it's a kids worship production, that sort of mid. And at that 6 or 7 month mark, I mean
Mhm.
that person it just strikes me. We get hired because we can get some stuff done, right?
Mhm.
In churches, and even a big church is just not you guys, but even a big church, and I mean big, like a couple thousand.
Mhm.
That's still a very small company if you just compare it to the marketplace, right? So 2 or 3 dozen employees, everybody's working hard, everybody's overwhelmed, everybody's got 55 hours squeezed into their work week, and then you hand them someone with great fanfare and great excitement to develop. It's really hard to sustain that.
Without a doubt. And I think I think more and better leaders is the single best answer to
Yeah,
sustainability in church growth.
yeah,
Even you could say, well, somebody cuts your church a check for $2 million.
right.
Well, first of all, thanks. I'll take it to the bank today.
We
Great.
will
Love it.
cash that. Yes,
Absolutely. Yeah,
yes,
we'll cash that check. But let's just say you take that $2 million and you upgrade some facility or some equipment, or you add a staff member, or you do a massive outreach event. And let's just say it's massively successful and
right,
hundreds of people say yes to Jesus.
right.
without more and better leaders,
Yeah,
how do you disciple them?
that's
How do
right.
you mobilize them? What do
That's
you
right.
do? But the hard part about leadership development in the church context is it is always important, but rarely feels urgent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and so it means you just have to safeguard it.
I mean, Jesus said 2,000 years ago, y'all got a saying, we'll get to this tomorrow, but I say, look at the fields. There's
Yeah,
never been anything wrong with the fields.
no, the prayer was for the workers, not for the harvest.
Yeah. I think I experienced that when I first was out of ministry, and I guess I was consulting, I guess is what I hate to call it that, but and when you could rebrand, remodel, multi-site, build all the things you're talking about, raise the money, but
Mhm.
who's gonna do it? That question, Andy, where I'm embedded, I think our view is unique to where we're embedded, but where I'm embedded, that question is getting harder and harder and harder. It's like I still meet people and they just walked in the room and they're like, wow, somebody should do something.
Mhm.
Hard to find a youth pastor. And I'm like,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe it's the first time they've struggled in their context. It seems to
It
be getting harder.
I think it is. I think there's a couple reasons, and one, there's been a 20 plus year over year decline of people entering vocational local church ministry.
Oh, where do you come up with that?
It's a Barna stat,
Okay.
if I recall correctly.
There's no doubt it's true.
Then well, I mean,
There's no doubt.
you can anecdotally go, call
Right.
100 pastors and
That's
go,
right.
hey,
Yeah.
you know.
Right. Yeah.
The other thing that's true is Barna does a repeat study every 15 years.
Okay.
And you know this too. The last time they did it, 15 years prior, the median age of pastors in the United States was
Right.
44 and
Right.
change.
Right.
When they did that same study 15 years later, the median age of pastors was 57.
Yeah.
So in 15 years, the median age increased 13 years.
Yeah.
So you couple both of those things together, you go, of course there's a shortage. And this isn't new information
Right.
to anyone that you're talking
Right.
with or who's listening to what you have to say.
Right.
I just think we've got to get better at ringing the bell to say, hey, there's people sitting in your congregation,
Yeah, for sure.
students in your student ministry
Yeah.
that don't know how to articulate the thing that the Holy Spirit is stirring in their heart, which is a
Sure.
call to ministry, until
Sure.
we talk about it. And I think one of the disservices that's happened in the local church is they've completely outsourced
Mm-hmm.
the training for ministry to,
Yeah.
to organizations outside of the local
Yeah.
church. And there's some value to that. I do believe in biblical literacy training
Sure.
and
Of course.
education without a doubt.
Of course.
But at some point, we've got to go back and go, no, no, it's our responsibility
Right.
to prepare the next generation for leadership.
One thing I've been thinking about, Andy, is when y- people will say things like, let's prepare leaders like Jesus or like Paul.
Hmm.
Life was moving so slowly in the first century, right? If I said, Andy, let's walk to Alpharetta or let's walk to the south and let's go hold a revival and heal a bunch of people. And we started walking.
Hmm.
You and I wouldn't need a diet or a health coach or a mental wellness expert. We would have it all talked out.
Hmm.
And then we would walk home 2 days later or something. And I just think the unfair advantage of all of that. Here we are running like a madman.
Hmm.
I would just say I look at the churches we serve, right, with great compassion, because I remember in my 20s and 30s running
Hmm.
hard. And there were some interns there and they're still in ministry, but not because I don't think it's because anything strategic, right? I think there were some people there that had the same disease I had, workaholism and daddy issues, just proving themselves,
Hmm.
scrambling up that thing, and the rest of them didn't make it, you know. I think this thing, if you go out here to a restaurant or a small family-owned business with 10 people, three of them have the same last name, right? And whatever they're not waking up thinking about developing leaders in a pipeline of
Mhm.
succession, and they're getting
Mhm.
stuff done. You translate that into the church, we're getting stuff done here.
Mhm.
And then for whatever reason, normally the motivation is a staffing thing from
Mhm.
where I sit. There's a little bit about spiritual impact but
Mhm.
really from where why we get called is we can't find these people. We got to grow what we need. It's a long answer to this very important but never urgent problem you're talking about.
Mhm.
But really hard to do on the
Mhm.
inside. And if you're going to do it for 2 years, this is the other thing. We're still hanging on to the 2 year thing, like you, and a lot haven't. But if you really dig in and have those deeper conversations, you get follow up conversations.
Mhm.
They're not here for 6 weeks or one semester or even 10 months. They're here for two Christmases and two Easters and two summers. And you really get to deal with this. And
Yes.
to your point earlier, most of our people, they have another job. They've got this job they're doing, and they
Mhm.
they take this on because they
Mhm.
know it's important.
Mhm.
So what we're
You know,
doing is not easy, and I
it's
remind our
not.
team, and it's like if this feels hard, it's because it's hard. It's difficult. This is difficult to
It
do.
is hard, and in a lot of ways, it's a change in culture, which is always difficult. And it's also the thing that's hard. We even talk about this with our staff because we have residents here and we have a team that oversees the residency, but they're coached by our ministry staff at our campuses. Um, and so the thing that makes it hard, we talk about this openly with them is, and rightly so, everyone that works at 12Stone has a job description. And that job description is the organization saying, these are the very specific pressures you're getting paid to solve.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's the least spiritual way to talk about
No,
working
I
at a
love it.
church,
I love it.
but
Makes it
it's,
clear.
you
It's
know,
clear.
and then we're going to give you a resident.
Yeah.
And at 12Stone, our residents don't have job
I
descriptions.
remember you telling me this, and I loved
And the
it.
reason why they don't have job descriptions is because it serves as one of a handful of checks and balances we have to ensure that development remains in the driver's seat for them.
Hmm.
And so we invite our coaches into holding that tension because it is a tension that has to be held. It's not a problem to solve, it's a
Yeah.
tension to
Yeah. It's
manage.
good.
That you, the coach, have a job description. And the things the resident is doing is coming off of your job description. But they are not here to solve pressure, they are here to be developed.
It's good.
And what our team does is we're on that wall for our residents, making
Yeah.
sure at every turn they don't become cheap labor at 12Stone.
Yeah. I'm sure that's hard to mitigate against though.
Hmm.
15 sites, you got some far-flung sites way out there. You're just trying your team's trying to get FaceTime with that staff leader who's out
Hmm.
there. What's going on? We're in that mode a lot here. Like
Hmm.
we got I think I saw 67 active things
Hmm.
and what's really going on because most of us as leaders, and I don't know what you were doing post college into student ministry with the Grace Brethrens in Pennsylvania.
Hmm. I just
But
sat
as I recall
in a dark room.
the onboarding and training and orientation, did it did I make it to lunch the first day?
I tell this story all the time, man. I remember my when I got hired and I did my new employee onboarding, which was, I don't know,
Oh,
2 hours long. I don't know.
really?
I don't even know if it was that,
That
man.
sounds very gracious.
Yeah, yeah. You know me, just
Yeah,
gracious all the
you're
time.
very gracious.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and they took me to my office, and I remember sitting down in my office,
Yeah,
and I remember going, I truly have no idea
yeah,
what I'm supposed to do now.
yeah.
And the only thing I could think to do is go, well, I guess I should probably write a teaching because I know at some point as a student pastor, I'm going to have to teach something.
Let's do something.
So I guess let's just do that.
Content.
Yeah,
Isn't that funny to think?
let's just create some content. Um, we could have a whole other conversation about
I
content,
know, dude. I
but
know.
um, I was going somewhere with that.
You're going. Your orientation was 2 hours.
Yeah,
You wrote a
we had
teaching.
orientation,
Yep.
and I did the teaching, and part of it is to go, I just don't want that to be true for other people.
Right, right. Yeah.
And so it's you're talking about the tension of the FaceTime with who you're coaching.
Hmm.
What I would encourage anybody to do is, and you can probably come up with some things, and it doesn't require a lot of time to think this through, is what are you going to do regardless of context, regardless of size, regardless of what are you doing practically?
Hmm.
Practically, not theoretically, not ideologically, but practically. That demonstrates to your resident or intern that you want more for them than from them.
Yeah, yeah.
And then just make sure that it happens. And I don't want to be simplistic because that's not helpful to anybody.
Right.
But what I would venture a bet to say sometimes all we need to do is take one step out of the swirl for a second
Hmm.
to give some active thought to some things that when we go back into the swirl, we come in with some checks and balances and safeguards. So, like our executive pastor, our previous executive pastor, Dan Ryland, used to say this all the time. He's like, "Hey, I think sometimes we over mystify coaching. Coaching is just the right word at the right time in the right way."
Yes. Yeah.
And you were telling, you're talking about like, hey, the beauty of what Jesus had at his disposal was a slower pace in time. But you also go back through the Gospels and you look at the number of times that Jesus used regular, ordinary, mundane things
Of course.
and made a statement,
Yeah.
a comment,
Yeah.
told a short parable.
Yeah.
And as they were going, and so part of it is it's not hours and hours and hours. It's the right word at the
Yeah.
right time
Yeah.
in the right way.
Yeah.
And then creating an environment where you have thought through tangibly how to want more for than from,
Yeah.
and your resident senses that.
Yeah. It's good.
Because you also can't actively develop them if you shield them from the pressures of ministry.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's got to be come and do, not come and watch.
That's right. Um, what are the out when you start? Someone says, "I'll do it," and you sign. They both parties agree, and you pinky shake, and you
That's
cry,
how
and
we
you
do it.
pray.
We pinky promise here
Pinky,
at
pinky
12 Stone.
promise, and then they cry, and then they nod, and you pray, and here we go. 2 years. What's the outcome? Outcomes, right? Is that what a good, smart person, education person would say? What are the outcomes of this?
Yeah,
What's
our goal is that they're prepared to fulfill ministry calling for a lifetime.
okay?
And so one of the things we want to make sure that is true is that they're getting a job working in a local church at the conclusion of our residency,
All
because
right.
that's the purpose of our residency program. The second is,
I get
are they
knocked a lot for that. Can we just camp there for a second?
sure? Yeah, without a doubt.
Get knocked there a lot.
Mhm.
Isn't this about discipleship? Isn't this about helping them love Jesus and impacting the young adults? I'm like, yeah, I mean, surely if they're with you for 2 years,
Yeah. But that's what the rest of the church is for too.
thank you. I'm like, this is about getting a job at a church.
This is about stewarding something that God has asked us to do as a church. This is not just
Yeah, that's
come
good.
one, come all.
Yeah,
This is no, God has asked us to pour into the next generation of church leaders. And I have this conversation with prospective residents all the time. This isn't us saying, hey, camp ministry is less than,
right,
overseas missions is less than,
right.
nonprofit ministry is less than. That's not what we're saying.
That's
What we're
right.
saying is we're a local church. So I don't know how to help you in those other areas.
Yeah, right.
But because we're a local church, we can give you the context you need
Hmm.
to be developed to work in a local church,
Yeah, yeah.
and to lead in the local church. And so um, it's just a qualifier for us because it's not good stewardship of our staff's
For
time.
sure, for
It's
sure.
not good stewardship of the resources that go. And we've just settled that and we're comfortable with it.
Yeah, yeah.
I understand that there's other churches that want to do it differently.
Hmm.
And listen, that's what God's asked them to do.
For sure.
But I also think for anybody who's doing this, they have to bring clarity on what has God asked of you
Right, right.
to steward what he gave you. And that's
Love
how
it.
we just answered the question.
I was interviewing a spiritual formation pastor at a church, Tacoma, Washington, where we used to attend when we lived up there. And she also used to be a pediatrician. So I
Mhm.
got this unique take on that whole teaching church, teaching hospital thing. And she said, you know, Dave, even inside of a teaching hospital, there are physicians who love it when the fresh crop of new faces walk in.
Hmm.
And there are other physicians there, they just roll their eyes like, oh, God, here we go again, the kids. What would you encourage, Church of 1,000, there's someone we're in residency
Hmm.
and they're deployed a couple of young residents across a staff or sometimes into another campus, right? And they're struggling with that. They're
Hmm.
like, wait, you said you were passionate about the next generation, but everything I'm getting from you is like, you're angry, you're 3 weeks in, and she can't totally execute your event for you on Thursday nights. How do you handle that there? Because I know it has to happen. There's no way at 12 Stone. I don't care
Yeah.
what you make them sign in blood on the front
Hmm.
end. There are
Hmm.
full-time people on your team at other campuses or maybe not within arm's reach of you guys, and they don't see it the same way. They're under pressure, right?
Hmm.
They're there to, as you said, their job description says they're there to fix some stuff, the pressure points, and
Yes.
then they get these your future resident walking in, and they've got to slow down. How do you deal with that, and what would you say about that?
Well, one is we have multiple conversations on the front end
Yeah.
to bring, um, one of the things that I feel like we are good at doing at 12 Stone across the board is bringing extreme clarity of expectation.
Okay.
And so we just get, this is exactly what coaching a resident is. This is
Yeah.
exactly what coaching a resident
Yeah.
is not.
Yeah.
So these are the standards you're going to be held accountable to. Because I think the best accountability, this is my favorite definition of accountability, is mutually agreed upon commitments.
Hmm.
So if I'm sitting down with a coach and we're going to give them a resident, we're talking about what our mutually agreed upon commitments will be for this resident. And go, now the standard you're going to be held to then is what we just agreed to right now. Um, so then we get into we have a starting point. I think a lot of times, because like you, I get a chance to talk to a lot of churches and help a lot of churches in starting residencies and fixing problems. And what I would encourage everyone to do is to go, hey, listen, with a little bit of thought and a little bit of time,
Yeah.
you can come up with some very crystal clear guidelines and expectations.
Hmm.
Because without them, you don't have
Yeah.
anything to come back to bring accountability
That's
to.
good.
So that's step one. The second step, because we find new and creative ways to get around our teams
Yeah.
and our
Right.
coaches.
Right.
We build regular touch points. Like we did a campus tour with our team. And the
Mhm.
benefit for Tulsa is most of our campuses are pretty local.
Yeah.
So we don't have to do a ton of travel to get to them. And we can
Okay.
do it in a day,
Hmm.
come back. So we sat down and just brought clarity to every campus team what the residency is and what the residency is not.
Hmm.
And we're just finding regular ways to do that. And then we're training our coaches. But, to your point, we're not exempt from the problems. You don't get
Right.
to get to
Well,
a
it's
certain point, you go
humans.
like, oh, we've just risen above it.
Right. Right.
Yeah, no, it's like, hey, one of the things we were discussing with them is, and I'm sure this isn't unique to us, I'm sure you've seen this, the thinking about a resident is all or nothing, where
Yeah.
they go, either this resident is the best thing ever,
Right.
and
Right.
we should hire him immediately,
Right.
or
Or
we should fire him immediately.
yeah.
And I go, well, that's not how bell curves work.
Right.
The majority should be
Right.
in the middle.
I love it.
And how come no one
Mm.
says my resident's in the middle?
Yeah.
Because what you're really doing when you're saying I'm going to have a resident is I'm going to meet you in the middle
That's right.
and get you over here.
That's right. It implies I am responsible if they're in the middle. If
Well,
they're
and
awesome.
that's the hard part.
Yeah.
You know, um, yeah,
What personality test does 12 Stone love? What do you do there? Or do you?
we like to switch it up.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
We're into all sorts of things.
Okay.
We do for residents.
We're into all sorts of things.
We're into all
That
sorts of
is definitely the quote for
yeah,
the marketing person. 12 Stone. We're
yeah.
into all sorts of things here.
Now it's very clear why they disinvite me from those meetings. It's like, hey, for the thing you're doing, can we just ask you some questions and then can you leave?
Exactly. Please stay away.
Great. Happy to. I mean, we personally use Enneagram, StrengthsFinder,
Okay.
Working Genius.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
there's a there's an old one called Thinking Wavelengths. I don't know if
I
you've ever done
love thinking
that.
wavelengths.
Yeah, I love Thinking Wavelengths.
And then
Uh,
Working Genius reversed it, right? Because all the
I
what people were on the right and the detailers were on the left. And
yeah.
then Lencioni comes in and goes, no, 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 I need to sell a bunch of books. So let's reverse that and call them something different. But definitely if you're 30 years old, you don't know thinking wavelengths as much as you
No,
know Lencioni.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
totally.
I think they're hand in glove kind of things.
Where's it
Yeah.
going, do you think, man? What do you if the all the Wesleyan which you guys have better schools than most, I think, still. At least they're
Yeah.
open. If all
Here,
of the
here's
presidents and the deans, they're like, "Hey man, would you tell us where this is going?"
mhm. I I think what I hope would happen is twofold things. One is that there would be a clearer delineation of how we're developing biblical literacy in people called to ministry. And just to go, let's make it a more simple understanding of these are the criteria that we need for biblical literacy. And then in conjunction, let's train people to do real ministry. Let's not train people to think that what you're doing in ministry is sitting around talking about the hypostatic union uh, and the finer points of it.
The hypostatic union, is
That
that?
Jesus was fully God and fully man, and how
Oh,
that
I
all
thought
came.
that was the
Anyway,
rear end of a GMC truck or
no,
something.
you
The
can get that replaced.
hypostatic
If you go down to
union.
AutoZone, you can do it yourself. It's a lot cheaper. It's a lot cheaper if you just do it yourself. Um, as opposed to going, man, like you're gonna sit down across from
Yeah.
a married couple
Yeah.
whose marriage is falling apart.
Right.
And what do you do in that moment?
Yeah.
You're gonna be handed a ministry,
Yeah.
and the senior pastor's gonna go, hey, there's 30 students in this student ministry, and we want there to be 60.
Hmm. What are you gonna do?
Or hey, hey, God's been kind and our church is growing by 10% a year, but our
Yeah.
small group ministry is not.
Yeah. Right.
How do you do that?
Yeah. Right.
And I want there to be more practical ministry philosophy leadership teaching in those places, but also rooted in biblical literacy.
Yeah.
Um, and I just
I feel
think,
like we've had that conversation for 30 years, haven't we? It's not
yeah,
it's just not
well,
changing out there.
there are some places where it is. There's some
Okay.
places that are doing a really great job of that.
Okay.
Um,
What
but
are
I
those
think
places?
it's a byproduct.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
a byproduct of um, when the church outsourced the training of pastors, because when everything gets outsourced to higher ed, it gets co-opted by the higher ed model.
for sure.
And if you want to look at, I'm sure this is what everybody's tuning in here to talk about is Andy and Dave talk about how faith fell apart in Europe. Uh, but but you look at that it happened there first, and it went to educational uh,
Right.
organizations
Right.
who then moved away from their roots of being the ability to train pastors and leaders.
Sure, sure.
And you see it in the Northeast, Harvard, Princeton,
Right.
Yale. They were schools to train pastors.
Yeah.
Well, are you going to hire, from there because they're ideologically aligned and
Right.
theologically aligned?
Right.
Um, and so there's drift there that happens where they have to fulfill some requirements. Anyway, I
Feels
want to
like
get off.
mutual distrust.
Yeah.
Church leader, the end, you would say the end user, the practitioner,
Mhm.
distrusting of those institutions because they came through them. And then the institution, I've heard it straight to my face. They don't trust. Why would I send our best and brightest? And I'm just like, oh, you have no idea what you're saying, man.
Yeah.
But
Well, and my question back to them is, well, where are you going to send them?
exactly. Thank you.
Where are you going to send them?
Exactly.
For what, to what end?
To what end?
Because again, we go biblically and go, I think I can make a fairly compelling case
Yeah.
that the local church is the expression that
Yeah.
God has wanted to use to move the kingdom forward on earth.
Of course.
So why not lean into the local church?
Yeah. You read books, Andy?
I have once or twice. I've read a
What are
book or
you
two.
reading right
We have a
now?
3-year-old, so we're doing a lot of Fox's
Oh, you're
Fox,
into the good stuff.
Little Blue Truck.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if you're
don't you
familiar.
love Bluey?
Yeah, I
Listen,
do love Bluey.
listen, I'm
In
glad
all
Bluey was
fairness,
not around when I was a parent because
I'm
who
not
could
an
live
overly
up to
emotional.
Bluey's dad?
Yeah, I'm not an overly emotional guy, but I will tear up at some Bluey episodes, man. I will. It'll
What
get
about
me.
Trash Truck? Do you
Oh,
watch
we do
Trash?
watch Trash Truck. Yeah,
Trash Truck.
great one
Oh
as
my
well.
gosh, it's
A
so
great one
funny.
as well. It's so
Okay, well, so
good.
what are you reading? And I don't mean it could be just for your enjoyment.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I love to read. I did The Art of Better Questions. Here's what you'll come to know about me, Dave. I'm terrible with book titles.
Yeah,
Um, there's
I
a
normally have
book
to look.
that Shane Parrish's most recent book is what I'm reading right now. I can't remember what it's called.
Okay,
Um, but it's been great so far. Even in thinking about, it's really about how we're hardwired to sabotage ourselves and how we think about things.
sure.
Um, and there's just some for people who are trying to develop other people, there's some real quality thoughts in there
That's cool.
that are
Shane
hurdles that we
Parrish.
have to help people get through.
Shane Parrish.
Shane Parrish. We're doing our team's reading The Art of Asking Better Questions.
Yeah,
In our next coaching training, we're giving all of our coaches at 12Stone a copy of that book.
excellent.
So that's been some great stuff. Really like that. Yeah.
It's always good. Someday I'm going to come to Atlanta
Dave, come see us. Come see
and
us.
we'll have some 12 stone coffee.
We will, and we will not walk to Alpharetta. That's a long walk, man.
It's a
But
long walk. Are you're on the
yeah,
south side,
we're no, we're northeast. We're northeast of downtown.
northeast? I
Yep.
thought Alpharetta was northeast,
They are almost directly east.
directly
So,
east. Okay, gotcha.
yeah, but we are.
Atlanta, not my most favorite place to fly into, but I need to do it.
Mhm. I just fly out of it and then back into it. But it's a very different experience. When I don't have to rent a car, I
Oh,
just go right to parking.
yes.
So, yeah.
All right, man. It's always good. Thank you. Thank you for your investment. You're not only, as you know, making a huge difference for your own church and your own movement. All of us out here are looking at you, stealing all your stuff, trying to replicate it into other places.
We
And
will
I just
gladly
appreciate
share
the
it.
open-handedness of it all.
We'll share it all,
Yeah,
Dave.
man. All right.
Thanks for what you're doing. Love it. Can't be too many people that are helping to develop next generation of church leaders.
Right on.
Love it. And anything we do to be helpful, please let us know.
Andy Brightbill, thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
See you.